Please welcome moderator Liane Jackson, senior law editor Forbes, and panelist Tyrone Baisden, co-founder and head of ventures and innovations, Colture Holdings LLC, and Thomas Walker, VP Global Consumer Insights, eBay.
Nice. Fancy microphones.
Testing. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have a really good panel for you today because we have two very unique panelists that I think you'll learn a lot from. And I want to just get right into it and introduce Ty Baisden right here to my left. He is co-founder and head of ventures and innovation for Culture Holdings. And then we also have Thomas Walker, vice president for global consumer insights at eBay. And I'm going to start out by having them talk a little bit about the paths that brought them to their different points in life. And let's start with you, Ty.
Hello, everyone.
Is your mic working?
I don't think I'm on.
There you are.
Okay.
We got you.
I'm Ty Baisden. I'm from Atlanta. I am head of ventures and innovations at Culture Holdings. Culture is spelled with an O instead of a U. It's an acronym that means, can our leverage teach us real equity? We are an investment company that invests into creators and their businesses across media, sports, and entertainment. One of our biggest investments on the music side is a young man by the name of Brent Faiyaz, who's currently one of the biggest independent artists pretty much in the world, and we built their business from the ground up. One of the other second investments that we invested into is an actor by the name of Malcolm Mays, who co-stars with Raising Kanan on the Stars Network. And then one of our other investments was a young man by the name of Trey Palmer, who is one of the starting receivers for Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So you have a multifaceted,
Yes.
diversified business. You're an entrepreneur. And let's move on to you, Thomas, to give us a little about your background.
Sure. Thank you. Hi, Thomas Walker here. So I started out more traditional, I guess you would say. I went to business school, and coming out of business school, I got recruited into IBM. And the big start was the VP of Global Market Intelligence there looked me in the eye through the interviewing process and said, "We want you at IBM." And I was like, okay, that's all I need to know.
That's what everyone wants.
So I want to be wanted, right? I think we all tend to want to go where we're wanted. And so that started the journey of moving from corporations and being honored to actually work on a lot of of the world's best brands. From Coca-Cola to IBM to Microsoft and now at eBay. So my passion has really been about people, and it's really always been about the intersection of brands and consumers and how to make sure that that's a mutually beneficial exchange. So that's more in the marketplace, but then inside organizations and then in communities, I'm really passionate about developing people. And if you're not getting what you want, what are we going to do about it?
Thank you. Well, this panel is called Generation CEO, Empowering Entrepreneurs in the Digital Age. Whether you're an entrepreneur within your own career or you are in your own space trying to build from the ground up, that's what we're talking about today. And one thing that I think was really a term that you brought sort of to my attention, some of you may be familiar with this, but the fractional CEO. Thomas, you had told me about how we are living in the age of the fractional CEO and how the next generation is about creating wealth on their own terms, whether, again, you're in business or you are starting a business. Can you explain a little bit about why that's important, what that means to be living in this age, as you call it?
Yeah, absolutely. If we look at organizations that are struggling to remain agile and also keep their overhead costs at a reasonable rate and also tap into talent on demand when they need it, it creates a great opportunity for people in the workplace or creatives who actually don't want to be tethered to a desk, and they are looking to create a diverse portfolio of skills and experiences, and they also want to maximize their earning potential and build their network. So the idea of fractional CEO is I don't have to be full-time anymore. I can actually contract myself here, there. I'm the CEO of myself, and I can generate opportunities that are way beyond and more expansive than just being at one company. And this is a growing trend. And when we think about Gen Z, 50% of Gen Z want to own their own business. If you look at Gen Z in the workforce today, 62% actually want to own their own business. So it's just a huge trend, and it's just going to continue to grow.
Well, you look like you're probably Gen Z, or maybe what's the one right under that? Got that youthful look. But either way, you own your own business, and yours is unconventional, multifaceted. Is diversification really important to succeed? Is that what's been part of your success?
Yes, I think diversification is important to succeed, but one of the things that, when I'm speaking about this topic, I'm very, very clear that we spent 7 years focusing on our music business and made sure that that was successful. And then we started to diversify, right? So we, colored outside of the lines of the traditional music business to grow a business that's valued at $100 million, and then we diversified. One of the things that Thomas spoke about is about the fractionalization side of things, is that a lot of the younger generation, they're doing multiple things. But if I'm gonna talk about diversification from our experience, we focused on the main thing until we mastered it to a certain degree. Then we went out and we started diversifying across tech, real estate, more businesses that served our music business. And about 75% of that profit was reinvested. And then we took another 25% and reinvested it back into music to keep that part of the business growing. So diversification is important, but we had a very strong, solid team and strategy that we had planned out with like a 10-year decade plan before we got deep into our diversification.
So it's not an overnight success story. Nothing ever, it rarely is. Also, don't spread yourself too thin, I think, are some of the takeaways of what you're saying. But both of you can speak to this. Having a multi-layered business, how do you learn to focus? How do you survive in this fractional world where you may feel like, do I need to do this? Where do I focus my efforts?
Well, I think it comes, just off the top of my head, I think it's, Ty, you hit it. I think developing a deep expertise that you become master in something, I do believe mastery is key. And there's a brand, there's a reputation that also, goes in front of us in terms of what we do. And so the level of focus, the level of commitment, I think, become key. And then also seeing things through. I do see sometimes, we might get interested, but then we quickly get disinterested. And so it's really important that we take the time to really know what are we truly committed to. And we were talking about this, in one of our conversations about how do you identify what I'm really committed to, and then as we think about investing in those opportunities, investing in, future leaders, getting to that process where you know that you've got a diamond in the rough, and that if you invest, that it's going to turn into a beautiful gem.
Is that what's important for employers to know about the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, millennial workers, and from the employer side, from being an employee? What is most important to know? Is it invest, make sure they focus? A lot of times it's...
Yeah, so employers today embrace the fact that it's most likely the new folks that come into your organization are not going to stay for 10, 15, 20 years. That model has changed. If you think about the fact that there's this new term called NEET, N-E-E-T, for Gen Z. Not in employment, education, or training. Because they're creative. Yeah. And they're not seeing the 9 to 5 as much as they are what they're seeing in social media and the influence that's coming with, wow, I can own my own business, I can be an influencer, I can do this thing, and I can go out there, and then you get out there and you realize it's maybe not as easy as you think. But that is the model, and that's the model that we need to embrace, back to the fractional idea, which is I can have 3 jobs and a side hustle and be very happy because it's not just about money, it's about experiences, it's about fulfillment. It's so much more than just dollars. Right? And that's, I think, what employers really need to understand, which is evolve the workforce. Pandemic taught us that we don't have to be in the office to continue to drive the business and grow.
So for a lot of the younger generations, it's about lifestyle, it's about quality of life, and of course, it's still about wealth, which is Forbes. We're here all about wealth.
It's wealth, it's not money. And
yes.
I would really think about those two things differently.
Well, to your point about having multiple side hustles, you have someone here. I'd like to give a shout out to Jaron Moore, who started out with eBay. He had a full-time job, was doing thrifting or thrift clothing on the side on eBay, was able to turn that into a full-time opportunity with eBay. He's here selling his goods, so be sure to take a look out on the second floor for Jaron. But tell us a little bit about his path and how that resonates with what we're talking about.
Yeah, so Jaron is representative of millions of sellers that are on eBay's platform. I think, back to our purpose, which is to create economic opportunity for all. Jaron was talking to his grandmother one day, and she was a thrifter, and she had always meant to put her inventory on eBay. And she was talking to him about that, and he was wanting to be a business and be his own company, be his own leader, CEO, and it clicked like, wow, maybe I can create a storefront on eBay, and that is my thing. That's going to be my calling. And that's exactly what he's done. And it's grown, and it continues to grow. He's actually going to open up a physical presence later this year. Jaron is right up there in the back left, so check him out. Check out his pop-up right there. But he basically took an opportunity, went online, and created a storefront. And now he has the flexibility that he wanted in his life. And he's also in Lubbock, Texas, where he lives. He's also giving back to his community, and he's now investing in creating the next set of entrepreneurs.
That is amazing. We're really happy for his success. And others, you and I were talking a little bit about how communities of inclusion, is that the term?
That's right.
Communities of inclusion, trying to bring more vendors of color through the eBay platform, and you work on that as well. And that, Ty, what you've done is really fascinating because it's so multifaceted, it's so innovative. You're working in Web3. You do a lot of, like you mentioned, investing money back into other means of generating income for your business. But you also talked about the importance of not just being an idea person, because clearly there's a lot of ideas that were involved in getting to where you are now. But it's about being able to operate and turn ideas into action. Yep. And if you could talk a little bit about what that means and expound on that a bit.
I think that the internet gives so much information that it's overwhelming. And when you have ideas as a business entrepreneur, or if you are a supporter of a business entrepreneur, you find yourself trying to find these different ways. And you have to become an operator, right? When we talk about infrastructure, we talk about project management tools, that's not just about ideas, that's about execution. So I think a lot of our younger generation of up-and-coming business owner or aspiring business owners, they don't truly understand the amount of development that needs to be put into their business to operate it versus the aspiration part of it. Like, I have an idea, I want to sell this idea, I want to make a whole bunch of money, but not thinking about the staffing that's needed, the level of expertise, how to synthesize some of the information that you're getting from the internet, because there's so much information to understand what works for my business, what doesn't work for my business. Is my business a storefront, or can I just solely run it on digital? Knowing all of this information is just not about ideas. And I think that's where the lack of development, because you can just wake up tomorrow and you can have a t-shirt and it can go viral, and now you have 10,000 people trying to get the t-shirt, but you haven't went through any of the protocol or the check marks or the checklists to be able to really function those different things. Now you got 10,000 customers. How are you going to get it fulfilled? Who's going to do the customer service? What if one of your customers put their address in wrong? Who's going to get the address? Like, all of these different things, these are not ideas. And I think that the younger generation, knowing that and being mentored actively by their peers, their parents, their coworkers, and it makes them understand that ideas are great, but the money is in being the operator.
So research and planning, crucial, critical to success. What are some final takeaways that you would have for our audience? Any tips or advice that you would give based on both of your experiences, your vast experience in each of your spaces?
Take 20 seconds.
That works.
The way I like to think about it is, I think Ty is right. I think individuals, whether they're in a corporation or they're their own business owner, see yourself as a CEO. I think that's really critical, because how we see ourselves determines the opportunities and the ways that we conduct ourselves as well. I think for corporations, it's really important to evolve and embrace alternative business models, embrace alternative ways of accessing and tapping into talent, and creating a new workforce that actually allows the future workforce that's actually going to be here in 6 years. In 6 years, Gen Z will be the dominant workforce in America. Like that's right now. So don't wait, get started right now.
My final takeaway is embrace technology. The individuals that are utilizing AI, they're going to be the individual that really understand this transition. If you understand AI, you understand the wealth transformation that's happening. Embrace technology. Do not get left behind.
Thank you. Those are great takeaways. Thomas and Ty, we really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.